Hello all and welcome to TPM Academy. This is RC number 58 of our free practice course VRC 100. Let's begin. In the first paragraph, author tells us that excess inventory has a variety of causes. He explains them. In the second paragraph, he starts talking of uh, the disposal of excess produce, and he says companies dispose of the excess merchandise through liquidator or by dump, but the latter could be a bad PR exercise. And in the last paragraph, he proposes a better alternative. He says not many companies are aware of tax laws, the new tax laws that enable the companies to avail of tax deductions over and above the cost of inventory loss or through excess inventory if they donate this excess produce to charity. So that could be a better alternative, donating the excess inventory to charity. Uh, an easy passage to comprehend. Let's look at the questions. The author mentions each of the following as a cause of excess inventory except, okay, option A, production of too much merchandise. First paragraph itself says overstocks may accumulate through production overruns. So production overrun is equal to production of too much merchandise. Mentioned, not the answer. B, inaccurate forecasting of buyers' preferences. Mentioned that certain styles and colors prove unpopular, which means companies are not able to predict what will become popular. So inaccurate prediction of buyers' preferences. Also, it was mentioned public's buying tastes simply change, leaving a manufacturer uh, with thousands or millions of items as overstock. So inaccurate forecasting of buyers' preferences can also be inferred. Option C, overstocking of products. Tempting choice for some of you, but I hope that most of you were able to understand that option C, overstocking of product, is not a cause of excess inventory. It is the very definition of the same. It is the definition of excess inventory, overstock of products, rather than one of the causes mentioned. So option C should be the correct answer. Option D, products rapid obsolescence. What is obsolescence? Becoming outdated. So products become outdated. The last line, in many cases, the public's buying tastes simply change. Occasionally, the competition introduces a better product. If competition introduces a better product, a particular company's product becomes obsolete, outdated. Also, it was mentioned that the public is fickle. The public is fickle. Fickle means volatile. Public's buying preferences, their tastes keep changing, or they are volatile. They keep changing very often. Therefore, products' rapid obsolescence can be inferred from this part of the passage. D is also mentioned as a cause behind excess inventory. Question 2, the passage provides information that supports which of the following statements? Let's see. Option A, excess inventory results primarily from insufficient market analysis by the manufacturer. Everything is fine with this answer choice. Other than the word primarily, we don't know whether insufficient market analysis is the primary cause behind it. Author has not specified it as a primary cause. So extreme modifier, it's a modifier error. Option B, donating excess inventory to charity could be more lucrative. Lucrative is profitable. It could be more profitable for a company than dumping it in a landfill. Can it be inferred? Okay, let's see. Second paragraph told us that it is perfectly legal to dump the products, excess products, uh, and the corporation takes a straight cost write-off on its taxes, the cost write-off. So the cost of inventory loss, cost of the excess inventory being dumped, the corporation can get as a tax write-off. Okay, but if they donate it to charity, then not only do they get the cost back, but plus extra something, half the difference between the cost and the fair market value, which means if they dump, the benefit is only the cost redemption in the form of write-off, tax write-off. But uh, if they donate it to charity, then they get cost plus extra something, whatever that extra is, which means it can be inferred that donating inventory to charity could be more profitable than dumping it to a landfill. Option B is absolutely correct. C, few manufacturers have taken advantage of the changes in the federal tax laws. It was written that the tax laws are new and managers are simply unaware of all their alternatives. But how many managers? We don't know. This few word is the too specific, and we don't know the number of manufacturers who have taken advantage of the new tax laws. So this option suffers from the passage suffers from data insufficiency. Option C tries to infer something that cannot be inferred from insufficient data available. Option D, manufacturers who dump their excess inventory are often caught and exposed by the news media. Again, the problem word here is often. Why? Because there was only one example mentioned in the passage, XYZ company, who uh, dumped 500 new snowsuits while children living in poverty were freezing. And it became a PR issue. The media persecuted, caught, and exposed this particular manufacturer. But does that happen often? Often, we don't know. So this is again an extreme modifier, a modifier problem. We don't know about the frequency of such incidents or media trials. Okay. Which of the following, if true, would undermine the author's argument? Undermine means CR question. What is the author's argument? Author says charity donation of excess inventory leads to tax deduction. So charity donation of overstock gives you tax deduction over and above the cost price, which means cost plus something plus your profit. Essentially, it is profitable. Author is arguing that if you donate it to charity, it is profitable for the company rather than simply dumping it, because you get a tax deduction of the value, which is equal to cost plus half the value of the difference between the fair market value and cost. So basically, otherwise you would sell it for, if you would sell it for, let us say, this part, we are sourcing it from the last paragraph. The new tax law allows the corporations to deduct the cost of the product donated plus half the difference between the cost and the fair market selling price. So if you are selling it for let us say, if the cost is 10 rupees and if you are selling it for 20 rupees in the fair market, this is the fair market value, fair market price, then the tax deduction would be, the cost plus half the difference between selling price and cost price, which is 5 rupees, is equal to 15. So you end up earning 5 rupees. The company ends up earning 5 rupees as profit still. So this is what the argument is. Tax deduction is profitable if you donate the overstock to charity. We have to undermine this argument, which means we have to prove that it is not profitable. Maybe there are other variables involved. Maybe there are other costs involved, which does not actually lead to any profit for the company. Let us see. Option A, the fair market value of an item in excess inventory is 5 times its cost. If the fair market value is 5 times the cost, it means if the cost is X and the fair market value is 5X, then the tax deduction that the company is going to get, tax deduction would be X plus the difference between the two, half the difference between the two, which is 2X, is equal to 3X. It's a huge profit. The cost was X and the tax deduction the company gets is 3X, which simply means that option A would strengthen the author's argument rather than weaken it. It strengthens the argument. Author says it is profitable. Option B, the news media give manufacturers charitable contributions the same amount of coverage that they give dumping. Irrelevant. The amount of dumping is irrelevant to the author's argument. Author's argument is about tax deductions being a profitable way. Okay. No straight cost tax benefit can be claimed for items that are dumped illegally. So what? For the items that are dumped legally, you still get a straight cost tax deduction. You get tax deduction. Number one. Number two, option C does not even concern donation to charities. It is about dumping. And author's argument is about charity donations and not about dumping. As a matter of fact, if dumping does not give you any tax benefit, it will again end up strengthening the author's argument that you should actually go for charity donations because it at least gives you some tax deduction. Option C further strengthens the author's argument rather than weaken it. The cartage of getting the inventory to the charitable destination exceeds the tax deduction availed. Wow, cartage is the money involved in transferring the products from factory to the charitable destination, the delivery charges. So the cartage exceeds the tax deduction. If cartage exceeds the tax deduction, which means you are not in profit. If you donate it to charity, it is not profitable. Other variables are involved. This cartage cost is the other variable. So option D weakens the author's argument. Correct answer. Information in the passage suggests that dumping excess inventory in a landfill is illegal in some cases. Alien idea. We don't have enough information in the passage which suggests that it is illegal in some cases. In fact, author says to the contrary, it is perfectly legal. Dumping is perfectly legal. Option B, dumping is more lucrative than selling to a liquidator. Is it more lucrative than selling to a liquidator? Let us see. Author points out a problem that liquidators may pay less for the merchandise than it costs. So they pay you less than the cost value. But if you dump it, you can get the cost written off on the taxes. So the total benefit by dumping it is equal to the cost price, and the total benefit by selling it to merchandiser or to liquidator rather is less than the cost price. So of course it can be inferred that it is more lucrative than selling to a liquidator. The only problem I have is because this sentence says liquidators may pay you less, not necessarily they pay you less. So we can't really say it is always more lucrative. Dumping is always more lucrative, but it may be more lucrative in some cases. So I'll keep it as a doubt. Let us examine other options. We might have to come back to option B. It results in media persecution. Again, not dumping excess inventory does not necessarily result in media persecution. It was just one example in the passage, right? And author says it can turn into a public relations nightmare. In support of this argument, author only provides us one example. So it will be a gross generalization to suggest that dumping results in media persecution. Generalization. Option B is better in that sense. Option D, dumping is ethically wrong. Author never invokes ethics, totally alien to the discussion. Therefore, the best available answer choice is option B. Hope you enjoyed. This was an easy passage. Hope you got all four correct. Keep practicing, keep improving. Cheers to learning.